to another episode of Koth.0, your home for learning how to become a better Magic player. I am your host, Nick Rennard, and we have not done an episode in a while, but by the request of a good friend of mine, Jack Gilchrist, I have come back to do another one today, and maybe another one sometime this week, and I'm going to be doing a dual video with Jack, and I will be, he'll be co-hosting with me, doing a draft, an MBS draft, together. But let's go ahead and get down to this pack. I really try to stay away from Infect, but I mean, when it comes to Infect, this guy is the best of the best. There's some other cards I would like to consider in here. I would not agree at all, or I would not disagree at all with taking the Burn the Impure. It's an interesting pick. I actually really like red though. I'm actually going to take the Burn the Impure here. It takes care of the Phyrexian Crusader. It's a really solid piece of removal. The Phyrexian Crusader I feel like I'm leaning more towards because he's worth 3 tickets. And I want to lead away from doing stuff like that. So we're going to take the Burn the Impure. It's a very fast piece of removal. It's very solid. And here we go. So, no obvious just red picks that you would slam. If we took the Phyrexian Crusader, we would obviously take the Blight Widow here. The reason I stay away from Infect is you don't really know if, you know, the other 3 people to your left took an Infect card and are going to now start cutting you, and it's just too much of a gamble to go into Infect. If I see that it's open later on, like really open, then I'll move back into it, but I think Burn the Impure is just a good enough card where I can take it. And this pick is interesting. So the cards I'm looking at are Banishment Decree and Strandwalker. I'm also looking at the Phyrexian Rager. Red-white is very strong if you go into a Metalcraft, but we did pass some good black, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Banishment Decree. I always try to prioritize removal over just cards in general, like Strandwalker is just, I mean, it's a good card, but it's not removal by any means, so we'll pick that up and see what else gets passed. And good thing we did. White Sun Zenith is amazing. Again, if we had taken that Pack 1 Pick 1 Phyrexian Crusader, we'd have another Blight Widow, so our poison would be looking good. But I like the way our deck right now is looking as well. The fact that a White Sun Zenith made it through 2 people means that this pack was either ridiculous or they just really didn't want to move into white. Hopefully we can get some cards like this passed to us in this pack. Those are good too. Generally with red-white I try to move into Metalcraft. Red and white have some very good Metalcraft cards, and it's not too hard to pick some up. One of the problems with it is it's a little overdrafted, but we're very happy to see that. Instant speed kittens. Who wouldn't like that? Alright. Well, there's not a huge amount to choose from here. We're not moving into another color for like Vidalcan and Fuser, although we're not seeing a lot of red, so we may eventually cut red if we don't see any more. We are seeing some good white. Priest of Norn is a very good defensive card. This is actually a pretty solid piece of removal. It's also very good with Metalcraft if we decide to go in that route. And I think that, like I said before, I always take, well, not always, but I almost always take removal first. And since this is potential removal, and since we may be red-white, which is generally a Metalcraft color, I'm happy to take this Master's Call over the Priest of Norn. Of course, my German Shepherd over there has something to say. You have something to say, Kerb? Alright, we'll go ahead and pick that. Alright, so this card I really like. The other thing is I also really like Steel Sabotage, and I really like Concussive Bolt. I also like the Gust Skimmer, but if I were going to take a blue card, I'd take Steel Sabotage. We don't really have any Metalcraft yet, per se, and we just know that these are kind of Metalcrafty colors. And I always like to draft the metal before the Metalcraft, but we're not going to see another Concussive Bolt in the next packs, obviously, because they are not besieged. They are Scars of Murden. So I'm going to pick up this Concussive Bolt, and I know it's a little bit greedy because we do need artifacts. And the safer pick would be the Skin Wing, but I really like Concussive Bolt in kind of aggressive red-white decks. It's a pretty easy pick. There's not that much for us besides the Banishment Decree. And we're getting a lot of removal, and this is a good finisher. I like to relate it to, I mean, there's a lot of cards in other formats, but like Naya Charm from Shards of Alara used to tap all their creatures, and it's kind of the same idea, but it does 4 damage as well, so it has even more reach. But it obviously costs more and is Metalcraft required. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to take this Banishment Decree. So I don't know how aggressive we're really being right now since we've drafted Kittens, which is generally, I mean, the later that you drop Kittens, the better. And then, now we're going to have 3 5-drops, 2 of which are very solid instant pieces of instant speed removal, but nonetheless, something to keep in mind. I mean, again, Concussive Bolt. Not because we necessarily are going to be using 2 Concussive Bolts, but because if we are in red-white, and I really like Burn the Impure, and I also like the red-white color combination, I think it's just the best thing in here, and I'd rather not move into blue or green for either of those cards. Well, I guess we're Tangle Hulk, but... So going back to our pack on pick one, it's amazing how much our draft would have been changed by that, but either way our deck would have been good, but we'll see how we do with red-white. So that would have been our pack on pick one pick, and this would be our pick now, and I really like Spin Engine. And he goes with Metalcraft, he's aggressive, he works well with these Concussive Bolts, so we're really happy to see something like this really late. I mean, if I had any chance of moving into blue, I would take the Steel Sabotage. I think we're pretty fixed into these colors right now. So I think the Razorfield Rhino fits our plan much better. I really do just love Steel Sabotage, but Razorfield Rhino's fine. And we don't really have anything good. I only really like picking that guy up if you've drafted like 2 of those, what is it, 2-drop artifact that draws a card and it dies. Acre Wellspring. I guess we'll take this in case we find good equipment, but we're probably going to end up cutting it. That's one of my friends. Alright, back to the draft. Well, we're not going to play that, even though it is an artifact, and we do need artifacts, and we're probably not going to play any of the other cards, so we're going to take a Spiraling Duelist and hope that we pick up some really solid Metalcraft that we can fit that in there. I actually really like this guy in blue, and it seems like we're getting some later blue. If we did cut a color right now, it'd be red. Unfortunately, we'd lose Spin Engine, Burn the Impure, and these 3 cards, but we'll pick up the Infuser. Like I said, we're seeing lots of blue. So we may move into blue depending on what we see out of our next pack, but I mean, I like our red well enough that I don't want to move out of it, but I always keep it open as an option.